moderating at this convention this weekend. How many people saw yesterday's panel? How many people think that this panel is in a lot of trouble? I think they will rise to the occasion of equaling or bettering yesterday's panel. I direct cartoon voices for a living. I mostly am a writer, but I started directing because out of self-defense, and so that what gets on the air sounds even remotely like what I had in mind. And every year I ask friends of mine to come out. I think everybody on this panel except Dee has worked on my shows lately. And I tried to hire him once, but it's hard to hire him because he works all the time. He's not available as much as you might like. But these are people who and I will tell you the secret of voice directing if you ever have to do it. You just hire really, really good people and get the hell out of their way. You tell them which microphones to use, you cast the right people, and as you will see when we do a reading a little later, they produce magic all on their own. Let me introduce to you this panel. I'm going to ask them to tell a little bit about the stuff they've done over the years. The closest to me, this woman is you will recognize because she's in half the commercials on the air right now, and she's on half the TV shows and situation comedy and such. We don't care about the on-camera stuff. We care about the fact that she is Arlene on the Garfield Show. This is Audrey Wasilewski. I'm doing all voices of the show lower than Audrey's. And also, I'm going to ask him to tell you about some of the new stuff he's doing with the Transformers. This is Mr. Gregg Berger, ladies and gentlemen. Also on the show, and she's on the Garfield Show frequently, and she's also on the current Spider-Man shows they're doing. This is Misty Lee. The voice of the Hulk. And then you have Mr. Fred Tatasciore. And maybe the workiest actor in the business these days is Dee Bradley Baker. Dee, we're going to start with you.
Yes.
The traditional question. Tell us some of the shows we know you from. Demonstrate some of the voices you do on them. And then tell us something very obscure you've done in your voice career that we wouldn't know about, but when you say it, we'll all go, oh my God, he's that guy.
Ah, okay. Yeah, well, these days you might hear me on Legend of Korra. It's so good, I don't know that I'll ever do a better show than that. It's really a super awesome show. I'm on Paulsen, American Dads. The clones on Clone Wars. I'm Harry on
That Rob Paulsen is not late, we are early. This is Mr. Rob Paulsen, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey Rob, how's it going?
You know, it's pretty good. I'm somewhere between giving in and giving up. And as I say, I'm breathing and I'm not in jail, but the day's not over yet. And I'm sorry I'm late. I was at a massage. Shit. I was talking to my new friend Nanette in the line. Nanette, I gave you my hotel key. Use it. Thank you for having me. Sorry, Dee.
Wow, I don't know how to do Comic-Con. The one thing I want to finish with then is the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that I was Old Man from Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Wow.
All right, what else?
What else? So I was Daffy Duck in Space Jam. Number 4 in the Codename Kids Next Door. I'm just kind of sprinkled in a lot of different shows, SpongeBob and Ben 10.
Tell us something that's not animation.
Well, I was once a Jawa after Star Wars was released. My parents made a Jawa costume for me. And they hired me at the local movie theater to be a Jawa all summer long when they re-released Star Wars in 1978. And that was my first Star Wars gig and my first voiceover gig in a way.
Okay, Fred?
Hello. I'm also sprinkled around a lot of shows. Family Guy, American Dad, Cleveland Show, Robot Chicken, Real Hulk. Beast and
Here's some Hulk. Fred, here's some Hulk.
Oh, Comic-Con, be great to see you again. Great to be here with everybody. Thank you. Hulk love Comic-Con. I need to keep my anger down so I don't feel. What else? Well, I'm in Gears of War. I paired. Sauron and Mass Effect, one of the very terrible villains. And Shifu, Kung Fu Panda. We're all dragon warriors. And Garfield.
We have a new character.
Oh, you're the Emperor too in Planet Sheen.
Yes, Planet Sheen. Did anyone remember Planet Sheen?
Yeah.
The Emperor on Planet Sheen. Thank you all for being here. I love it. Talk to me more.
We are now producing the 4th season of the Garfield Show. We just did 3 one-hour specials in 1 month, which I had to write in 1 month. And Fred has been playing the new character we brought in. That's in the 3rd season, which you haven't seen. 3rd season is not aired yet in this country. We're doing the 4th season, then we start the 5th season. And I'm going to run all the lasagna jokes very fast. And he's playing this new character we brought in. It's an Australian villain named Dirk Dinkum. And Gregg Berger plays his sidekick Buckley. And this is the proudest casting I've ever done. I had to cast this really obnoxious villain and his weaselly sidekick.
Dinkum is very mean to me.
You need to be quiet now. Quiet, Buckley.
I won't be quiet.
Quiet! No, let the man speak.
So every so often, I want to demonstrate something. I just tell them, okay guys, just fight for a while. Okay, just fight for a while, guys.
Now you take the wrong turn there, Buckley. What are you doing?
You said that we were supposed to say, and we were supposed to on a certain vowel sound so that we stayed Australian, and then all of a sudden you started to run, and then I couldn't even keep up with you. Then you put the thing off the thing, and
You're
then
not
you started
getting
to
I'll never order from the mechanics again. Where did you come from?
So now you two guys, Buckley is driving the Jeep, and you go off a cliff together. He drives off the edge of the cliff. All right? Go ahead, do that.
What?
I told you I should drive, I knew it!
You don't know my GPS.
Thank you. It's those guys. Greg, tell us something obscure. Tell us about looping movies.
Oh my God! Well, I'm all over Gladiator. You ever watch Gladiator? Yeah. The movie, remember that? You'll be fighting for the Emperor. Do not turn your back. I do a lot of voices in that. Looping for different. I've had to do different. Samuel Jackson. Whoever is not. I had to do Snakes on a Plane once. That was really fun. Trying to cover that. But I didn't get to do the real fun, because he does all his ADR, you know what I mean? But there was a couple of lines I had to cover, and I didn't get to do the, I'm tired of dancing. I can't do this in here, can I? Oh, this villain farmer plane. I don't give a damn. No. Wow. This will never come from. Sometimes you have to. Different voices for it. The funniest, really fun ones are Kung Fu movies, though. I'm sure you've done some Kung Fu movies. You have to avoid that. Hey, you! Look out! Go! Now! Obscure things, though, on Space Mountain, I count you down and say, welcome back, Space Traveler. Other obscure, Farmer and Barnyard. I don't know if you remember the series Barnyard. That was a lot of fun. Give it to a nice little fella. And the weirdest job, I think I had to be Tony the Tiger in a suit. That was really fun. Like, you see these people in these costumes walking around, and then everybody going, in this huge suit. And, you know, it's very hot in those suits. So I have a lot of respect for those people in the outfits, really.
Okay, thank you, Gregg. Misty, tell us about yourself.
I'm new, and I'm just so happy to be here, you guys. I'd like to really fangirl me out. I'm going, oh my God, that's Harry, that's Hulk, that's a Transformer, and oh my God, is that Rob Paulsen? I'm very grateful to Mark. He's the fella who helped me get into the union. He's a really amazing human being. I'm very lucky to be here. I've worked for Mark on Garfield. I'm currently Aunt May on Ultimate Spider-Man. A ton of video games.
What does she sound like?
What's that?
What does she sound like?
Peter, are you all right? Sounds kind of like me. A pretty far cry from Princess Magic, who's another character that I did get there. I got one person clapped. Thank you, one person. Jennifer Losi, who I see. Hello, thank you for that. That was very supportive. I have a good friend in the audience. And I'm going to stop talking and let Gregg Berger go.
Okay, then I will.
As long as you don't hear that from your agent, you're in good shape.
Yeah, exactly. On the current Garfield Show, which is starting season 4, I do Squeak the Mouse, who's the only mouse that Garfield doesn't allow to leave the house because we're very good friends. And Harry the alley cat who lives down the street but gives Garfield a very hard time. And Herman the mailman who doesn't want to go to the Arbuckle house because, you know, that cat. And I still have the great privilege and honor of barking and slurping and everything Odie the dog as I have since he was first animated. And Sir Jack in Final Fantasy. The pain in Metal Gear Solid 3. I do some of the Eeyore work for Disney characters. Corn-fed pig on Duckman, who's sort of facts, only the facts, and somebody has to look out for the duck. The Grumble on Real Monsters. Anger management problems I love to attract. I was Orson on U.S. Acres, the other half of Garfield and Friends. Saying, Wayne, you're afraid of everything made. I've never seen anything like it. Agent K on the animated Men in Black. He's a cerebral facaloid, their brains are in their bottoms, you know where to aim. Long Haul on Transformers, Outback on Transformers, Skyfire on Transformers, Spirit on G.I. Joe, the original, and meet Grimlock, meet Dinobot leader! Something you may not know, but you will soon, is that Grimlock is back in an incredible game called Fall of Cybertron. And I'm thrilled to be back. You also may not know, unless you come to this room on occasion, that once a year for the past 10 seasons I get to sit in a table and record for Kelsey Grammer's Sideshow Bob, and I get to try to kill Bart Simpson once a year.
Talk about yourself.
Right. Well, first of all, I'm in love with Mark. He's the very first person to hire me to sound like me. I do Arlene on the Garfield Show, Garfield's very forgiving conscience. Oh, Garfield. And the job that got me started when I came out to LA is sort of a party trick that has become very valuable. I'm the official voice of E.T., the extraterrestrial, now the cat. So, good for you. Nickelodeon, there's a series that's called My Life as a Teenage Robot. And I played Tuck, who would absolutely love me here at Comic-Con. Let's see. Coming up, we got Guild Wars 2, where I am a 9-foot char. I'm Hortensia. Yeah. Oswald's kitty cat girlfriend. Opposite Frank Walker again, we're destined to be a couple.
That's true.
Look for him, Frank.
That kid who lives near you wants to play golf all that
Oh,
day.
yeah, he does Nolan North's groundwork.
There was a year ago, there was no dialogue. It was the year of making noises. I worked on The Sims 3 and was many of their pets. I was flown up to bark like a dog for 3 5-hour days. And people watched. It was very humiliating. It was a raccoon, which I bless YouTube for helping me out there. I had no idea what a raccoon sounded like. And obscure is probably, before everyone made it a punchline, the restless leg syndrome. I was the voice for Mirapex, may cause increased gambling and sexual urges. I thought it was a joke. When I had auditioned, I thought it was just buffer copy that they didn't really know the rules yet. I was kind of messing around.
Audrey, tell them about the on-camera commercials you have running now. This is a spaghetti sauce?
Always glamorous. Spaghetti sauce with some flashbacks to the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
There. It's like Clark Kent, you never know.
You have to go because the Class A network residual truck is at your house right now. Congrats, it's a great spot.
Let's see, there's toilet paper, Cottonelle.
Yay.
With the
It's a great spot.
two-talent regime, wet and dry. What else? There's Capri Sun and Oreos. Eating cookies for dollars. That was the best day ever. So, glad to speak.
All right. Rob, have you worked lately?
I have. Over at Todd's House of Formica. I'm actually also late because I'm the Grand Marshal of the Boredom Festival in Norco this year. So yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm here. Thank you very much for inviting me again to be here with these auspicious actors, and many of whom I've shared prison cells with. And, but the day's not over. And it is just so much fun, and I'm here this weekend to promote, ostensibly I came to promote the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So that's been great fun. To be able to get a bite at that apple again has really been quite an amazing experience. But yeah, I've said it before, but with all due respect to Lou Gehrig, I am the luckiest man on the face of the earth. To be able to go to work every day and work with the folks you see up here and get paid to do essentially what got me in trouble in high school is an incredible gift, and I am so grateful. And thank you so much for coming to see Dee Baker.
Would you do a voice of somebody for us?
I will. Hello, yes.
Okay, why are you laughing at me? I just wet myself again. Boy, do I feel good all under.
Let's see, and then years ago, actually, a number you're gonna say, God, Raphael sounds an awful lot like Donatello. They gotta call first Raphael, something like, Shredder, get over here, I'm gonna kick your shell! And that was 25 years ago. And now Donatello says, Shredder, get over here and help me put my shell on. So but I swear, I keep thinking somebody at Viacom made a mistake, and I'm so incredibly grateful to get another shot at that. So yeah, between Ninja Turtles and I saw the Tick and Arthur walking around here the other day, and I was Arthur on the Tick. So yeah, I have had, and I've been, thanks to many of you, and all of these folks, several of whom, Dee's already been on, but all these folks eventually are going to be on. I have a little podcast that I've been doing now for the last year May I tell?
Sure, absolutely.
I do a podcast every week on that's available on iTunes under the TV and film sort of category. It's free and it's called Talkin' Tunes. T-A-L. Thank you. Yeah, Talkin'_tunes. T-O-O-N-S. So you can get it on my website, which is robpaulsenlive.com, or iTunes. And Mr. Baker's already been on. I hope these other folks will eventually allow me to invade their homes and talk to them for a while. And in a couple weeks, Mark Evanier, we started to do live podcasts, and we did our first Maurice LaMarche, who played my friend the Brain for many years. And we did a live podcast at the John Lovitz Comedy Club in Universal City. Live Pinky the Brain podcast that went so well that the folks want to continue to do them periodically. So on July 17th, August 17th, the lovely and talented Mark Evanier and June Foray, who just won an Emmy. What the hell took her so goddamn long?
Let's talk about June Foray's
Yes.
Emmy. Boy, it took it. You know how you get an Emmy in this world? You keep doing quality work until you're 94 years old.
God bless you.
She had never been nominated, never gotten an award, and for years she kept saying to me, I don't understand why they've never nominated me. It wasn't like she thought, oh, I'm so great. She just was curious. She'd had every other award in the world, but no Emmy nomination, whatever sort. So a bunch of her friends got together and started lobbying and pushing and things like that.
God bless you.
And one morning, about a month and a half ago, I came home. I was at the hospital all night with my mother, and I came home at like 6:45 in the morning, and I was ready to fall into bed. And then I realized the Emmy nominations are coming out at 7 a.m. I'm going to stay up and see if June got it. I wasn't even trying to think if I got it. But I just waited, and finally around 6:20, they popped up on the internet and said, the only nomination the Garfield Show got was for June Foray for playing this witch character I had on the show, playing Mrs. Cauldron. And I went, oh, finally, okay. And I thought, it's 7:20 in the morning. Dare I call June? Yes. And I called her up, and she was getting ready to go in and do Granny on a Looney Tunes session that day. Still working. I mean, how many people here, whatever you do, you're not going to be doing it when you're 94. Whatever you do for a living, she's
I have
still
a
doing
pulse
it.
when I'm 94.
Yeah, right? And she's going to be 95 next month.
Jesus. Part of the beauty of voice acting.
Yeah, so I called her up and I said, June, I called to congratulate you on your Emmy nomination. And she didn't understand. She said, well, you know, Mark, I've never won an Emmy. I've never understood why they never nominated me. I said, no, June, you have an Emmy nomination. She says, no, it says this, Mark, I've never gotten an Emmy nomination. I said, June, listen carefully to me. 20 minutes ago, you were nominated for an Emmy. You are now an Emmy nominee. And there was a pause. I think I heard her turn a cartwheel.
Fantastic.
So then I took her to the ceremony. My friend Carolyn went with me. We went down to the ceremony, and we got down to the daytime Emmys, and we sat through. This is like wonderful what happens. We were presenting beforehand, and they had me the script, and they had my name mispronounced. So I thought, well, I better find the announcer and tell them how my name is pronounced before. I go in, and the announcer was Candy Milo, who's been on panels before. I know I had booked for Garfield the next day. Candy was the announcer for the daytime Emmys.
But she couldn't pronounce your sheet.
No, she knew. She knew, but they had it, and she goes, that's not how Mark's name's pronounced. So I walked June up on stage. We sat there for 2.5 hours watching them give Emmys to people who did the makeup on Days of Our Lives, and apparently you can get a job working on Days of Our Lives if you're really, really loud and scream a lot. And we finally get to the category that June's going to present, which is all the animation awards except the one she was up for. And I walked her up on stage, and I had a vice grip on her arm. There could have been a hurricane or an 8.5 earthquake. She would not have fallen over because we're walking over wires and this terrible steps that looked like they were, last ascended using a D.W. Griffith movie. And we're walking up to her, we get up on stage, and the audience jumped up and gave her a standing ovation for stealing one of the evening. And then later I had to walk her back up with, I had this vice grip on her arm again. And at the after party, Gloria Allred, the attorney, came up to her. And I thought she was going to say, do you want me to sue that man who's going to grab you by the arm? But we sat down after the presenting, and we came up to the category a few minutes later, And there was no camera on her. I was the only person who saw this because they videotaped these just for the archive. They only had like 2 cameras in the room. And the person opens the envelope and says, and the winner is June Foray. And I looked at her and I saw absolute shock. And I said, June, I'm afraid you have to go back up on stage. She got up and we marched up. The audience was cheering her, and it was one of the happiest moments of my life, seeing that woman finally get the recognition she deserves.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
I want to thank Mark for, giving me work. You brought me up in your panels for years. You mow my lawn and pretty well, actually.
You should see what I have to do for welcome.
I know. He's got 1,000 acres, but because I'm doing my little podcast, and all the actors and all my friends have been so generous with their time, and Mark, after June 1, I thought I would love to do an evening at the John Lovitz Club with June. And I didn't even think that sort of Mark would come as part of the deal, but Mark made the phone call and June said she'd be happy to do it, which absolutely shocked me. So it's an incredible thrill to be able to do this and share the microphone in a very impromptu fashion with the legends in the business, many of whom you see up here. And then we're starting to do live ones on the 27th, 2 weeks from last Friday, when Randy Rogel, who wrote all of the Animaniacs music, and I are doing an evening of live Animaniacs music at the John Lovitz Club. And then on the week after June Foray, for my live Talking Tunes podcast, we're going to be doing 4 original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Barry Gordon and Townsend Coleman and Cameron Clark and myself. And thank you. And but anyway, that's my little plug. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Okay.
Let's proceed.
I'm going to get back to you in a second, Rob.
Please.
Let me mention here, there's probably somebody in this room who's interested in getting into the field of cartoon voice work. If you are interested in that, one of the things you should do is listen to Rob's podcast.
Yes, thank you.
Because he interviews the best people so far until I get there. And then and they talk very frankly about the business in a professional context. Another way that you should do is go to a website that Dee has.
Yeah.
Tell them about your website.
I occasionally get the question, I fairly often get the question of how do I get into voiceovers? And so I built a site that's just informational that basically gives my take on that question. And it's iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. And you can go there and it's my take on how to think about it, how to start it, and kind of how to navigate a career as an actor and as a voice actor, because we're all fundamentally actors. But I've got a lot of good feedback from it. It's not, it's free, I'm not selling anything, it's just all out there, but it's my basic take, if you're interested in that, on becoming a voice actor and what that's like and what it takes, and just kind of the mindset that you have to have. So check it out and let other people know about it. iwanttobeavoiceactor.com.
Yeah, can I say really quickly too, having, I had Dee on my show and we've had the same question a lot, so Dee is kind enough to link my podcast on his show, but the unique thing about Dee's show with respect to how to get into it is, as you mentioned, his take on it, and the philosophy of how you guys, or how one decides to go ahead and take the plunge. It's not all, you may do everything and put all your ducks in a row and all that stuff, and we all know people who are incredibly gifted for whom it's not ever worked out. For whatever reason, it's just, that's showbiz, but Dee's take on it philosophically, and I think you got your degree in philosophy, didn't you?
I did. I was a
Philosophy major.
Yeah,
But it's fascinating. But seriously, his philosophy on how to approach it, and how to approach it, doing the art for the sake of the art versus doing it for money, and how it can all be still incredibly sort of spiritually remunerative is really interesting. So go to iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. It's fantastic.
And one other thing here, we have a panel later today. It is at 3 o'clock in room 25 ABC. It's called The Business of Cartoon Voices. And let me tell you why this panel exists. Many years of this panel, you saw it co-hosted by myself and a wonderful man named Earl Kress, who was a great animation writer and a lovely man. Earl was not here last year because he was home fighting cancer. He is not here this year because he did not, unfortunately, win that battle. But one of the things that Earl and I were passionate about was that people who want to be cartoon voice actors should not be ripped off and looted and plundered and exploited. He trained with the best voice actor who ever lived, a man named Dawes Butler. He said one day that there's a lot of very good coaches and voice teachers around. Gregg Berger is an excellent voice teacher and coach. And there's also a lot who will listen to the worst demo in the world, the worst sample in the world, and will say, God, I could get you Rob Paulsen's career in a second. How much money do you have on you? And they will take everything you have and not say to you, as some good voice teacher should, this is not the business for you. You don't really have it. Or exploit you in other ways. So we put together this panel that Earl, I think it was Earl's idea, and we're going to keep doing it. At 3 o'clock, we're having a panel over at 25 ABC. It is not for entertainment value. We're going to have some fine voice actors, including a couple of these folks up over there. We're having some agents and some casting people in, and we will give you the bare facts, as ugly as some of them may be, and as joyous as some of them may be about the business, and tell you what you need to know for free and to protect you from the exploiters.
Can we be a little entertaining?
No. In fact, if you're going to be like that, Greg, you can't be on the panel. Now, I'm going to give you I'm sticking with Rob for a second. I want to do one more thing for you.
Yes.
Rob and I did a series years ago that nobody had ever saw.
Yeah.
Watch this. How many people in this auditorium remember a show called Channel Umpty 3?
That's it.
Okay? We were on for a year on the WB network, and I don't think the people at the WB network knew we were on. And Rob was brilliant in that show. And one day, in the middle of recording, his agent called me and said, can you spare Rob for an hour tomorrow in the middle of the day where we were recording? And I said, gee, I need Rob. He's the star of our show. We've got to have him. She said, he could make an awful lot of money tomorrow if you could free him up for 1 hour. You remember this at all?
I don't. But
yes, you do. So I said, okay, I'm going to work around this. We made the book the same studio. You just went down the hall for an hour.
That's right. It was at Pacific Ocean Post.
That's right. That's right. And you went down the hall. And you did it, I think, on the first Mr. Opportunity.
Oh my God,
spots
that's right.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, give us a little of that character that you did for a while.
All right, Mr. Opportunity. I'm Mr. Opportunity, and I'm knocking. But you know what? Can I tell you? Thank you very much, by the way, for allowing me to do that.
All right.
Here, let me take care of you right now.
Okay.
Take a check. There's a very interesting quick story about that, and all my actor buddies will love this because it kind of gives you the sort of an insight into the sort of absurdity of the whole casting process. That job came about as a result of me doing other work for the folks who did produced Honda. At the time, Kevin Spacey was the voice of Honda. Now I think it's Justin Bateman that does all the national stuff. But I was in there one day doing some local radio stuff, and the director said, hey man, I'm thinking about pitching this idea to American Honda about an animated guy to have their year-end clearance, Mr. Opportunity. You want to just lay something down? I said, sure. I did a couple of things, and they said, we don't have a tagline. We don't have a tagline. His name is Mr. Opportunity. So I thought, oh, I can totally do this. So roll. And so I said something like, you hear that? That's Mr. Opportunity knocking. I only knocked once or something, and they thought I was a genius. Some of the problem that we run into as actors is often if you're, all of us here are improvisers too, and what happens sometimes is if you improvise a line, you run the risk of them hiring Kevin Spacey and saying, Fred Tatasciore did this incredible line, and he's a nice guy, but nah. So Kevin, yeah, that's right. Why don't you do this line, Mr. Spacey? Oh, and we'll give you $2 million. So you run that risk, but in my case, it paid off, and I got the gig. But the point is that all of us go to audition for things. If that had been a normal auditioning process, or the voice of an animated guy for Honda, they would have seen 1,000 people. Each agency would have sent 200 people in. It would have been this giant masturbatory exercise, and sort of being in the right place at the right time, and the good graces of Mr. Evanier allowing me to do it. So, my God, thank you.
You were mocking the money that Audrey has made on commercials. I think you made more money off that commercial.
Well,
I think you should give everyone in the room $1.
I think so too. I don't want to say I made a lot of money, but I bought a little place up in San Simeon. called the Hearst Castle, but got a lot of room for my stuff. So yeah, it was actually one nice, the only Umpty 3 check I ever got, plus Mr. Opportunity, was about $140 million. That's a joke. That's a joke. I'm kidding.
It's about half that.
Audrey says, who's your agent?
All right, let me ask everyone on the panel briefly. I would like you to each tell me the name of somebody amazing that you worked with at another microphone. You go to the session, you walk in, and the next microphone is somebody you can't believe you're recording in the same room. Well,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, this gentleman up front says, Welker, 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 Welker. Yeah, you see Frank Welker, it's like a Bigfoot sighting.
We
He
have
stands at the microphone like this.
And I dropped the name, and I always will, but I was seated early in my career, I think intentionally, next to Mel Blanc, and just thought I could die happy.
Tell the story about him dozing off.
For those who may not have heard this, it was an episode of what they called the New Jetsons in those days, and it was one of the first sessions I had ever done at Hanna-Barbera. And I was seated next to Mel. Howie Morris was also in the room that day. So two legends that I was not worthy of.
Is David here? David Morris, Howie's son is here. Is David here today? He was here at the panel yesterday, Howie's son. Okay, we're not going to cheer Howie because his son's not here. Go ahead.
However, I'm not undervaluing, I knew I had to jump rope with these guys, so I wasn't just so humbled that I couldn't do anything. I did what I was asked to do. Anyway,
And I was Curly Quasar, and I had a blind date with Judy Jetson, which was pretty freaking cool.
But Mel, bless his heart, was much later in his career and had been on a lot of benches and had a lot of microphones, and he happened to fall asleep during the session. And nobody was aware of it, I think, except me, because I was looking at him as much as I was looking at the script. Gordon Hunt in the booth, when it was clear he missed his line, tried to gently rouse him, and he said, Mel, and Mel Blanc woke up just like this. Jetson!
Dee, who did you work opposite you were really impressed to be sharing the studio with?
I'm lucky to work with a lot of people that really frighten me. But because of how fantastic and talented they are. But it really just from my childhood, it really impressed me, and I was really blown away to work with Billy Hayes, who played Witchy Poo in HR Puffin Stuff, which for me was a show I was very excited about as a kid, and I've gone back and watched them, and I think she is utterly hilarious, and I really appreciate the broad sort of vaudeville style of performing that she brought to that role, and I just told her what a huge fan I was of what she did, and really what it meant to me. That show meant an awful lot about watching that and thinking I want to be a performer, I want to sing, I want to do shows, I want to make people laugh, and the hilarious villain I think was probably the best part of that show for me, and so that really sent me over the moon.
Billy is amazing. We should get Billy down here one of these years.
She's utterly.
If you ever want to see
she's
somebody
fantastic.
steal a movie, watch the Little Abner musical and watch Billy as Nanny Yoda walk on every scene she's in.
Yeah.
And she was like, I worked with her on one of the Bronx shows, and she was like
Yeah.
an amazing woman. Yeah.
Just incredible.
Fred, who'd you work with?
Well, your special guest here yesterday, Stan Freberg, was a huge one for me. I couldn't believe working with him. That was a big deal for me. I was a big Firesign Theater fan, and Phil Proctor was another one who's just so brilliant, and became a friend, and it was like jamming with your favorite, rock star. It's just crazy. The guy that I'm working with now a lot is James Hong, and he's Mr. Pink on Fu Panda. And there's something about his read is always so authentic. I never know what it's going to sound like. It's always like, oh, Paul, no. You know, whatever it is. And he always attacks it with such humor and authenticity. It just kills me. Yeah, so those are some of them.
Misty, what do you got?
Well, actually, it was with you. You had, we've had amazing people in on Garfield, but I actually got to watch, I don't know if you guys have seen it, everybody up here was talking about Frank Welker. I'm assuming everyone in the room knows who he is. Yes. You wouldn't be here if you didn't know Frank, or at least know his work. But Frank is, and one of the most amazing things about voiceover is sometimes you hear there's a lot of competition amongst actors, and voiceover is not like that. It is the most amazing group of extraordinarily talented people who are the best actors in the industry. They can turn on a dime, and they're just so generous with their time. And Rob Paulsen and Dee are really, you know, like they're showing you, here's how you get started because we welcome you if you're good and you're talented. But the reason that I bring up Frank is to bring up Lorraine Newman, who is, if you guys may remember, and I got to watch Frank Welker, and I bring him up specifically because there's a video of him on YouTube roaring like a lion. He did a lot of the lion roars into a garbage can, and he showed her how to. But what happened was Lorraine was playing a lion, and so it's okay that I'm telling the story. I'll just violate my NDA, whatever.
But signed an NDA on our show.
But Lorraine had to roar like a lion, and she got very nervous. And she said, I don't know how to roar like a lion. And Frank said, I can teach you. And he said, do you have an aversion to putting your head in a trash can? And she said, it was in a cone head. And she said, no, I don't have an aversion to putting my head in a trash can. I'm an actor. And so, for the next 15 minutes, Frank stood there and he said, this is how you hold it, here's where you want to aim the sound. And being in a room with two actors who have such an amazing, massive breadth of work, but also such a depth of talent, it is like, it's just a masterclass. And so, so that was amazing. And then a couple hours later, same day, I got to sit in a room. Here's me, here's Lorraine, here's June Foray, and then there's Rosemary from the Dick Van Dyke Show. Come on! Who gets to do that? So it's been a really amazing journey.
We needed someone to play the witch character that June played that character's sister. So I had to get someone who was an older woman's voice, but who sounded nothing like June. And we brought in Rosemary. And I kind of became a writer because of the Dick Van Dyke Show. I went to see an episode being filmed in 1962, and I went, oh, this is what I want to do with my life. And
She always has she still has the rose in her hair.
and the character she's playing
Yes, she
has
does.
the bow in her hair also.
Even in the session, she attests.
Yes, anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, Greg, you want to add anybody else on, or should we pass you?
How much time do you have? I mean, the thing about it, we live in a time where we are blessed. There's a lot of name recognition to voice actors, but a lot of the names we would drop of heroes are not necessarily known quantities as far as celebrity, identifiability. But Don Messick and Dawes Butler and Marvin Kaplan, and now I've also worked with some high-profile people who blew me away, including James Brown, including Taj Mahal. There are people that guested on shows just to guest because they were interested in those shows. On Garfield, James Earl Jones. On Garfield, Don Knotts. Just a slew.
Jonathan Winters.
Jonathan Winters, who all you want, anybody who's been in a room with him, all you want is for him to hold court.
Yes.
It's just like, can we do the show tomorrow and just sit and listen to him just do whatever he wants to do? I don't know if it's the same way on the other side of the glass, and that's probably why booths have two sides, one with actors and then safety glass, and then producers, directors, and writers.
Excellent.
Audrey, who have you worked with?
I'm thinking Tim Conway was one of those
Yeah.
situations where all the monkeys on this side of the glass were on their best behavior because we knew that we were in the presence of royalty, and he held court. It was awesome. Oh, and grew up on the Carol Burnett Show, and that's all I ever wanted to do or be near, and that was trying to keep my heart cool about the whole thing. That was a Garfield video.
That's right.
Yeah.
Rob?
Well, because I was the entertainment at the Last Supper, I've been around. In those days, I was Shecky of Arimathea. Jesus, what a party. And everything was actually going pretty well until Judas went. Judas loves karaoke and he did Backstabbers. Anyway, I'm not unlike I love that. I mean, I love all these people, but it's nice to have at least a chronological contemporary up here in Mr. Berger because he's so chronicle. Jesus, the only great thing about the best. I mean, there are many great things about being a Ninja Turtle twice, but you know, the best thing is that my original hair color of brown didn't go as well with a red bandana as gray goes with a purple bandana. But man, I can't even tell you, Jonathan Winters.
Talk about Eric Idle.
Little Richard, Eric Idle. I was going to say, Eric Idle. My heroes as a child, well, actually, Gregg Berger was one of my heroes when I was very young, because Gregg was already 40. And he was a busboy for the last summer. No. My heroes were always Peter Sellers, the Goons, the Pythons, all those guys that were just so incredibly fearless, and coined Billy West, you know, absolutely fearless. And so Eric Idle one day came in and played Pinky's mother and father. And that was a have yourself moment. You mentioned, Rosemary. I did a pilot. I was hired by Carl Reiner to be a Filipino ventriloquist.
Yeah, you were.
Everybody gonna let me put my hand up your butt so you speak very fast.
So not your butt, because that's a felony. They go, I'm gonna get so in trouble. Anyway, I walked into the session and it was not only Mr. Reiner, but Dick Van Dyke and Rose Marie.
Stop it.
Yeah, I'm serious as a pimple on prom night, man. It's one of those where you call your mom and dad and say, you are not gonna believe. Yeah. So that, and Roddy McDowell played an evil gerbil on Pinky and the Brain named Snowball. And he was just so delightful. He answered every question about Planet of the Apes, and I finally said, what's it like, Hank? You've known Elizabeth Taylor for 60 years. I mean, all these great showbiz stuff. I did an episode of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure at Hanna-Barbera years ago in which they did the birth of rock and roll, and I'm a big rock and roll fan. I got my start singing rock and roll, and I was sat next to Little Richard for 3 hours. And Jonathan Winters, I remember Gordon Hunt asked me, would you want to sit next to Jonathan Winters because he knew what a big fan I was of him being an improv guy, and I said, of course. Do you think there's some osmotic thing that happens by being next to Jonathan and Dawes Butler, Kenny Mars, all these, Bob Ridgely, God bless them all. And I remember they said, Gordon Hunt said, okay, Jonathan, we're ready to roll, and it was smirks, and off you go. So the first thing Jonathan does, he looks at me, and then he looks like this, like he's looking down the barrel of a rifle, and he goes to me, he goes, shoot the priest, Davey, and it'll stop them right in their tracks. So I thought, okay, we're gonna shoot the priest. He said, yeah, shoot the priest. It was the Mexicans are attacking, shoot the priest. I said, oh, okay, I'm hip, we're at the Alamo. I'm gonna play with Jonathan Winters. This is how hip Jonathan Winters was. I thought I was sharp, and I said, absolutely, Colonel Travis, I'll do what I can. And he said, Colonel Travis, I'm Davy Crockett. What the hell? He said, Colonel Travis, I'm Jim Bowie. Travis is upstairs loading the camera. Shoot the goddamn priest. It's gonna be the title of my book, Shoot the Priest, right? Not that I don't want to, that's an homage to Jonathan. But after all of that, on Umpty 3, Jonathan Harris. We all got to work with Jonathan Harris from Lost in Space. And he spoke like this in real life. Don't talk to me, you sanctimonious bucket of boats. And the cool thing was that that's how Jonathan Harris spoke all the time. And he was a Brooklyn-born Jew. It's true. But because of his incredible, I was in the original cast of Mad Woman of Shiloh and Tea House of the August Moon. And I saw him years ago. I saw him with the same agent. I'll make this quick, but it's brilliant. I said, Jonathan, how are you? I'm not so good today, Robbie, my dear boy. I have a story for you. True story. He goes, true story. Qualified. I said, what's the matter? He goes, you know that they want me to do that Got Milk campaign. They want me to be a milk carton. Really? That's a lot of money you're going to do because I'm not going to do it. I told them I'm too old, too rich, and I'm too pretty.
let's show this audience what you people do for a living. If this script sounds familiar, it's because it's the same one we did yesterday. It's the same one we did in the panels last year. This is the story of Snow White. Now these folks have not had half the pencils down. They've not had a chance to see this script. The ones who've done this script in the past are playing different roles this year, so they don't remember it from last year anyway. I'm going to now assign the roles out. This is a very boring script. So if anything is funny in this script, it is because these people have put it in with the strength of their acting and their destruction of the material. Right? I'm going to now assign roles. Rob, you are dwarf number 3.
Younger than springtime.
Dwarf number 6 and Prince. Here's a list of
Thank you.
roles.
Oh, we made it.
Audrey, congratulations. You are Snow White.
Wow.
Gregg, you are dwarf number 2, dwarf number 5, the magic mirror, and watch out, the priest. Misty, congratulations, you're an evil queen.
I can't imagine why.
Freddie has been an evil queen for years.
Number 1, dwarf number 4, dwarf number 7, and the huntsman.
It'll be busy.
You are the narrator.
Okay.
And the narrator has lots of lines, and I would like everyone read in a different voice.
Awesome. Great. All right.
We are now going to give them not enough time to mark their scripts and get ready.
Please stand by.
I will play director, and I may at various times stop you. If we start to be running long, because I want to get out of here on the proper time or they beat me up, I will tell you at some point to speed up the rolls. As I mentioned,
Frank Welker in the back of the room. You made it after all.
they have not seen this script before, and they're going to be going as I can't talk. I wouldn't hire me to do voices for sure. I had a guy who emailed me one time. He said, I'm a voice actor, I'm a great voice actor, and you should, here's a link to my demo online, and he offered me a cut. He said, I'll pay you under the table, I'll pay you 10% of anything you pay me, which is one of those things that just drives me nuts. I hate that kind of stuff. And he said, I can do anything Frank Welker and Gregg Berger can do.
No, he
And
can't.
I wrote back with the guy, I said, you know, if you can do anything Frank Welker and Gregg Berger can do, you don't have to pay bribes, you'll have a hell of a career. And I've never heard of that man since.
Well said.
Yes. All right? Are we not ready yet? Good, let's start. All right? This is the story of Snow White. Dee, you have the first line.
Once upon a time, and long ago, there was an evil queen who studied dark magic. Das gefällt mir überhaupt. She was very vain, and each day she would go to a magic mirror and ask the same question.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all?
And each time, the mirror would give her the same reply.
Thou, O Queen, art the fairest of them all.
This pleased the queen greatly as she knew that her magical mirror could speak none but the truth. Then, one day, the answer changed. Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest one of all?
You, my queen, are fair,
'Tis true, but Snow White is even fairer than you.
Extraordinary beauty that recently blossomed. Oh, what is wrong with you, stepmother dear?
Oh, nothing, Snow White. You belong to your children.
She summoned her huntsman to the royal chambers and gave him an order.
You take Snow White to the forest and kill her.
Your Majesty, I cannot do such a thing.
You will follow my orders, huntsman?
to draw his knife before his conscience is controlled.
I'm failing my conscious seizing control. No, I can't do it.
Oh my God, can I do one more, husband?
I can't kill you as the Queen ordered.
Oh, the Queen wishes me dead.
Yes, jealousy, Snow White. You know, you must run. Now you've got to run. Run deep into the forest and hide. I shall take her instead the heart of a white bull. It's like a pig, but even more menacing. And tell her it's yours.
Oh, God, thank you. Oh, thank you, husband.
I like that. I'm around, you know. I'm around, right?
Snow White fled deep into the forest and ran the house. As evening was about to fall, she came across a little house and went inside in order to rest.
Ooh, I wonder who lives here. Whoever they are, they're small and tiny. I see 7 little plates, 7 little chairs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little beds. She helped herself to food, then curled up for a nap on one of the beds and fell fast asleep. But before long, the owners of the home returned, all of them 7 in number.
Men, it looks like someone has broken into our home while we were at the mine.
Someone has been drinking our milk.
Someone has been eating our brains.
Someone's been sitting in my chair.
Who could it possibly be?
Who is that sleeping in my bed?
It is a woman of great beauty.
Well, baby, I got something I want to show you.
You're not so little after all.
There ain't no dinner and a movie in this fairy tale, honey.
We are dwarves, and we are 7 in number.
What?
Wrong line. You're not on board. I'm sorry.
So, we are known as the 7 dwarves.
Yeah. Who are you?
And what are you doing in my bed?
Well, I've explained about her stepmother, the evil queen who had told the husband to kill her.
This is absolutely terrible.
If you will let me stay, I can be very happy to live around.
We just protect this lovely child.
If she stays here, we can protect her.
I'll tell you what, baby, you can stay as long as you like.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you all.
And so Snow White stayed, the dwarves looking and cleaning for them. It was fine arrangement until the next day when the queen asked her mirror a question. The magic mirror on the wall. Who is the first one of all?
You, my queen, are fair, 'tis true. But Snow White, living in the mountains with 7 dwarves, is still 1,000 times fairer than you.
What?
The girl lives?
Snow White lives forevermore. The heart belonged once to a boar, a dreadful boar.
I shall finish her off, and I will do it myself.
The queen went into the lab of witchcraft, where she prepared a poisoned egg. She also transformed herself into the unbetter woman. The next morning, after the dwarves went off to work at the mine,
May I come in?
I must not let anyone in. The seven dwarfs have forbidden me to do so.
Oh, I'm sorry to share my apples with you. Here, you have one.
Well, they look very delicious.
Snow White knew she could not accept a gift from a stranger, but she was tempted and took a bite.
That is a wonderful apple. Except,
Scared as white as snow. Lips as red as blood. Hair as black as ebony wood. A lot of good it did for her. She's gonna sleep for all eternity.
So, evil queen fled. She fled. Hours later, when the dwarf said home, I'm mine.
I'm really starved. I hope Snow White has dinner ready.
I wonder what she's making.
It doesn't matter.
Still better than your cookie.
What's wrong with my cooking?
Nothing. At least as long as you don't have to eat it.
Don't fight, men. Now that we're home, let's be pleasant for Snow White.
And that was when they saw her.
What?
They tried to ride her with all their might. It was all too late. I left them with a very sad task.
I think it's so cool how you let your seizure disorder live. Mr. Baker, would I like to have a seizure salad for lunch? Yeah, she's starting to stink up the joint. We'll have to bury her.
No, get up to that.
But look at her rosy cheeks, her fair skin. She's dead of form, but not of spirit.
What can we do?
A cauldron of glass and gold.
Yes, we will build it out of love and respect.
And balsa wood.
Such a castle was built, and they placed Snow White still in form inside, all day and all night. At last, at least one dwarf stood vigilant upon it. And then, one day, many months later, a stranger happened by.
Calling for 3.
Hi, who are you?
Hello. I'm Prince John. Of the kingdom over yonder hill.
Wow.
Now, I have heard of a maiden fair, form, and beauty. And that obviously is she.
You talk so slow that you are late now, Prince. It would take a miracle to revive her.
Your miracle, your majesty.
Only the miracle of true love. Stand aside, my good man.
The prince opened the casket of gold and glass, applied a loving kiss to the lips that were as red as blood. For long moments, nothing happened. But then...
Whoa! Look at you! Who are you, cutie patootie?
Hello. I am Prince John, and I know who you are. You are a woman I've dreamed of all my life. The fact that you threw up on me notwithstanding. You and I shall make my bride if you will have me.
Go for it.
So they were married. The only queen attempted to attend a ceremony that the prince had her seized from the dungeon. And do you, Prince John, take this woman to be your bride?
Do.
And do you, Snow White, take this man to be your groom?
I do.
You said it much faster. I now pronounce you man and wife. You may kiss the bride.
And so they lived.
Happily ever after.
All right, I've got a few pickups.
It's a half-hour show.
We got time for a few more questions here. I would like to ask anybody who wants to answer this. One of the lucrative fields of work these days, of course, being video games. But in video games, frequently you must die for your art. You must spend much time screaming and dying.
Repeatedly.
Greg, can you explain to them what I mean by this?
Normally because interactive is interactive and because there's a near infinite number of outcomes to any given action or interaction. What did I say?
It's pretty impressive.
If you're a character who dies, you have to die more than one possible way. You may have to fall off a cliff that's 50 feet high. You may have to fall off a cliff that's 200 feet high. You may have to fall off a cliff on fire that's 200 feet high. You may have to fall asleep repeatedly shot or stabbed off the same cliff 200 feet high. You may have to fall, hit something 50 feet down, then fall another 75 feet and
Stop,
be skewered. Stop, have a sandwich.
And then there's flamethrowers involved too.
And all of those eventualities and more have to be covered in the session. So usually they're kind enough and generous enough to save that for the end, because basically anyone in the booth who's called upon to do that performs a tonsillectomy on themselves.
But often, and it's a really great point, and I think often, and it took me a while to learn this, but for those of you who are actors out there and do this sort of thing, it's all right to ask the producer, say, dude, you know, I want to really want to do this job, but I can't scream. If you make me scream for half an hour, 45 minutes, or an hour now, I'm done. Not only for the other jobs I've got coming, hopefully, but for you. So yeah, it's okay to. Yeah.
Right, not mentally, but physically, you normally leave kind of raw and torn up.
Yeah, it's got to be a physically sustainable performance that you're giving. It really helps as you become an actor in the various ways that you do. You've typically got some kind of live performing experience, and you'll probably learn ways that you can use your voice and project your voice a lot that don't damage your voice, because you don't want to damage your voice.
You really don't want to do that. When you work on video games, you have to be very careful what you do. You can space out the time.
Usually, like right now, what I do is I'll do 2 hours of yelling and space it out to do other 2 hours of yelling, because 4 hours is
Yeah.
There's lots of good teas and throat goats to use, and rest, and warming up and warming down. It's like doing stunts, basically. It's the stunt
but also,
world.
you guys, especially you and Greg and Dee, and guys that have much more range, range than I do. You get called in to do monsters and screaming and all, like Greg was talking about. You know, the video game guys say, all right, in this scene, you were stabbed in the head. And you scream. Now you're stabbed in the head only on the left side. It's a different scream, but since you're stabbed on the left side of your head, your right side is paralyzed, so you're gonna have to go.
Dying Nazis, because I speak German, and so it's like, oh, we're gonna call in Dee to be the Nazi that's burned alive and thrown off a cliff.
America's favorite dying Nazi.
And that's, yeah, I had to kind of put the kibosh on that, because, I mean, Hollywood will always always need dogs and dying Nazis. But you know, I think if you're
Nazi dog.
I'll go with the dogs, but the dying Nazis is a little much work.
Well, but I think you've just actually, if I may, and I'll only take a small percentage of this, I think you've created a new character for yourself called Don Nazi. They're always we're going to invade Poland.
I think
On a special dying Nazi.
I think we should have someone die for us here. Greg, I'm going to stick you with this.
Oh, thank you.
All right?
First off, a 50-foot cliff.
Okay, now, Greg, you may want to take notes on this.
Okay.
All right, get ready for this. You fall off a 200-foot cliff. On the way down, you are hit with 3 arrows, one by one. The third one is on fire. You land on a bed of razor-sharp spikes, and then you are attacked by rabid raccoons. And we will let everybody else be a raccoon. When you land, we'll have everyone else will do the voice, will do the sounds of the rabid raccoons landing on you.
Just writing down the notes, it looks like a Sergio Aragonés.
That's what I got it. All right. Whenever you are ready, Greg, you are at a 200-foot cliff. Okay, 200-foot cliff, he's falling off. He gets hit on the way down by 3 arrows, the third of which sets him on fire. He lands on razor-sharp spikes, and then the rabid raccoons attack him.
You know what the asterisk to that? The asterisk to that would be what? And give up show business?
How many times might they ask you to do that in a session?
The last 45 minutes to an hour. And then you've got a series. You have to realize the book of these animated, interactive games is this thick. They have to cover everything. So you have to give punches. You have to take punches. You have to, everything that is covered has to be covered. So it may be part of a session over a number of days. It may be a tighter schedule and pressed to be a significant percentage of the session. But it's difficult. Now, this is really hard to make known to students because I'm not even sure it's teachable or learnable. The shortcut to getting it to everyone's satisfaction is to do it full out. If you are overly protective of yourself at the expense of the performance, you're going to be there twice as long. So you have to have some instinctive way of protecting yourself that might not be the same way anyone else protects themselves. But if it's not full out of all the marbles, it's not going to work for them, and it's not going to work for the game. It's not going to ring true. And these virtual worlds are so intense and urgent, and all the marbles, that there's this real delicate balance to just sort of not shorten your career each day that you have screaming deaths.
It's also really important to have specific direction and a specific picture in your head. Mark gave us very, very specific and detailed instructions on what to do, and you build a very specific picture in your head so you can deliver that full out, as Greg is saying, hopefully the first time, but just so you get that so you're exactly clear on what they want. One of the worst things for a voice actor is a voice director or a writer or a show producer who doesn't know what they want, but they just want you to die.
Recently,
The actor or the character?
There's going to be more of this at the Business of Voice, Cartoon Voices panel And at 3 o'clock in room 25 ABC, we'll be doing more of that. I want to tell you all, folks, yesterday, if you were at the voice panel, I introduced a legend of the comedy business and of the animation business, Mr. Stan Freberg. He and his wife Hunter are down at table GG13 in one corner of the room. If you have, this is a rare opportunity. If you have a chance to get down to their table, you can meet the guy who was the voice of Pete Puma and the Bugs Bunny cartoons, and Junior Bear, and he was the Beaver and Lady and the Tramp. He was the guy who had the first million-selling comedy albums of the 50s, and you can get his autograph, you can buy a picture of him. I think he's got some CDs for sale. And do not pass this up, because if you don't know who Stan Freberg is, you're going to be kicking yourself Sunday if you miss the chance to meet Stan Freberg. That's booth GG13. Does anyone else have an appearance going on this afternoon that they want to mention? A booth they'll be at, any place they'll be. Some of these people will be with me on the panel at 3 o'clock. We are out of time here. I thought these folks did a fantastic job.